All right, perfect. Eric, if you could cue the music. Okay. Everybody, thank you all so much for joining us here today and engaging with our poll here around some of the key inventory challenges that you face as a customer today. So, not surprised to see some of these responses here. I think everybody probably faces some of these challenges and in a little bit of a way. I can say that emergency response and readiness, I was expecting that to be ranked a little bit higher. It's something that I hear quite often working with utilities companies, and especially think about it here in Kansas City. You never know if you're going to get a tornado, a sudden burst of air, or a lightning strike. It's extremely important to have that inventory visibility and readiness to help fulfill your technicians as they're coming out. So I'd be curious to know if any others struggle with that. We obviously see third-party mobile work order integrations, integration into field service solutions to support project-driven inventory. So it's great to see some of these and just validate some of the challenges that we're seeing out in the utility industry. So thank you all for taking a moment to engage with that. And we'll go ahead and get started here. So I'm going to introduce everybody from our panel here today, but my name is John Paquin. I'm a director of sales based out of Kansas City, Missouri. Got about a 15-year background in Oracle supply chain and logistics. From my team is Sean Lee. He's our VP of our logistics growth strategy. So Sean has about 25 years experience in working with Oracle warehouse management customers and has worked really closely with EPB along this journey. Ken Jones, our valued customer, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about your story with us here today. So Ken's going to tell you more about their journey with adopting Oracle Warehouse Management Cloud. And then Candace Caban, she's our AVP for the Oracle Utilities and Energy vertical. Candace, thank you for your leadership and support. We're excited to learn more about the Oracle story from you here today. So a little bit more background about, hey, who's Intellinum? So wanted to just kind of help you understand how we support the utility industry and Oracle customers. We've been an Oracle partner since 2007, helping serve and support Oracle supply chain customers with market-leading software and services. So our core competency and focus is helping enable supply chain and logistics customers. We're Oracle experts. It's within our DNA, all the way from our leadership to the bottom. There's people that's been engaged in Oracle product development in the past, working with some of the largest Oracle SIs, helping implement EBS and Fusion and Oracle supply chain solutions. And from a software development perspective, we know how to meet the demands of the utility industry to help support some unique requirements. A little more about what we do. We provide Oracle certified mobile solutions and expertise to help optimize supply chain and logistics. So that stems from a couple core areas with our products and solutions that we bring to market to help extend, enhance, and enable Oracle supply chain and warehouse management cloud. A couple core areas that we help with is with enhanced mobility to meet your unique needs and requirements, web applications that can be used on desktops and tablets and PCs, and also enhanced label printing to meet some of the regulatory compliances or warehouse label printing needs that you may have with Oracle today. We're also obviously here to talk about an Oracle WMS implementation journey. So we're a leading Oracle implementation partner of WMS, OTM, and GTM. We provide Oracle Integration Cloud services and integration expertise. We obviously implement our own solutions. And then one unique thing that we help serve our customers with is warehouse strategy and readiness services. So maybe you're opening up a new warehouse or location and you need to take the most advantage of that WMS that you're putting in. Our team can work with you to help you and recommend layouts, infrastructure, best practices to support your investment. Uniquely for the utilities and energy vertical, we bring solutions to market that helps enable and extend Oracle in these core areas. Some of the challenges that you may face today and solutions that we've brought to market help support enhanced stocking enhancements or project-driven inventory requirements. We've also helped build out solutions to integrate with work order solutions, field service solutions to help enable your field operations inside and outside the four walls of your business. And then also from a label printing perspective, helping with those compliance OSHA labels, ARC flash labeling. We have a very strong enterprise solution that can help you with your labeling requirements. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Candace. And again, Candace, thank you so much for your time here today.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. And thank you and welcome to everybody for being here. And we appreciate the time in the afternoon here on I'm sure what is a busy week for all of you. I'm Candace Cavan. As John mentioned, I lead our most of our major the utility supporting cast members here at Oracle and the sales teams across North America. And we support all the largest utilities, and I'll just say energy customers because, again, utilities aren't exactly all encompassing. Energy is a much better word, a description, but I appreciate all of your time again. And then, John, to get started, I just wanted to do a quick commercial on Oracle. Just again, I realize most of you are probably familiar and also may already be our customers, and so we appreciate the partnership. But one thing I just wanted to, I felt like was really important to start with is obviously we've been in the news, and many of you may have heard about all of our incredible earnings for Q1. But what that means to this industry and also all of our customers to me is innovation. And if you think about what we posted in the RPO and all the money we have kind of sitting in backlog and how we're going to bring that to market, what that means to you is basically investment in our R&D. And so the differentiation for us and what that looks like to you and how that shows up is basically we are a technology and an application partner. So that is the differentiation. So along with the investment we're going to be making, continuing to make in these platforms, the differentiation for us is that we do both. We do all of it. So I think the combined infrastructure, again, those data centers that you're hearing about, all of the technology stack, as well as the industry specific applications, we're going to be talking about some of that today, really create that tightly integrated platform. Another point that's actually not on the slide that I wanted to just kind of touch on, it's a little bit related to the data center, is essentially our option to take the stack and put it in your data center, our data center, some sort of hybrid format. That is a differentiator for us and also enables all of our partners and customers to, whether it's a regulatory scenario or some kind of latency issue that you're having, or potentially, depending on where you are in the world, some sovereignty concerns. It enables you to address all of that. The other thing I wanted to mention here, also back to the database and the technology stack, is this multi-AI mode. So again, AI, obviously, we've all been talking about it for the last decade, but what that means to you is, again, we've created a platform that enables AI, whether that's a third party or some sort of open platform. So as you think about it, it doesn't have to be Oracle's AI platform, although we would certainly prefer that in this scenario. But it enables that across our partner world and ecosystem. And then also the last point that's on here is related to security. So again, because we own the entire stack, we operate our data center. So operationally, there's a security confidence there, but also just from a automation and the lack of the need for manual interventions, it just should give you confidence in the stack. So I just felt like it was important for us to do a quick little, what does that mean for us is coming out of all the news and everything that you're hearing? And then what does it mean specifically as it relates to the applications and technology? And then also going into this, which is a great visual, as we're talking about applications today, and specifically in the ERP, what we call the ERP kind of, I'll call it pillar, but it really, Oracle is a differentiator across the entire utilities platform. So this gives you an idea of everything we touch in the application world as it relates to utilities. But again, we have similar platforms for financial services, retail, across the entire, as you think of a vertical out in the industry. So I felt like it was important to just do a quick commercial on all the great R&D, all what it means to you and how we bring that to you into the market, and then also why we differentiate by owning the stack, the applications, the industry specific applications, and then specifically as it relates to utilities and energy, what that might look like. So I'm going to turn it over to Sean now. Thank you again for allowing me the time to do the quick Oracle commercial. And again, Ken, thank you for presenting your case today.
Great. Thank you, Candace. Much appreciated. And thanks everyone for joining. My name is Sean Lee. I work for Intellinum, again, as VP Logistics Growth Strategy. I wear many hats in this business, but to John's point, 25 years plus experience in the Oracle space. I actually started as a customer using Oracle products. I won't tell you the year, but it was a while ago, and got into consulting early in 2000 and started just basically kick off my career from there. Stuck with warehouse management, but also dabbled in manufacturing and other areas, inventory, and procurement, right? Pieces that all tie into WMS. But happy to be here, and I want to talk about our journey. And again, grateful that Ken is here also, and you'll hear from him and his experience as we kind of went through this. So the basic things from this slide is just where do we struggle, right? If you're in a utility company, you have certain areas that obviously stand out of struggle. We had the thing in the beginning to basically get some feedback from where you guys feel the struggles are today in some of the systems and trying to move to a warehouse management system. But this basically just shows you some areas of struggle, decentralized material, the lack of inventory visibility. So this is a big one, and shrinkage. You hear that term, right? You don't know necessarily when inventory disappears. You have a lot of people coming in and out of facilities, taking inventory, those types of things. They aren't tracked real time. So that's definitely an issue that we struggle with here. The long lead assets, from the transformers and meters standpoint, emergency response, as John mentioned, are we ready for unpredicted sometimes storms, right? And things, and make sure that we have that response readiness ready to go with the system to help with that. And then just disconnected mobile piece from, again, areas like yards and things like that. So we took these struggles and worked with EPB and basically emphasized, that we can handle this in WMS Cloud and use that as your central nervous system, if you will, to help with these areas and build out a workable, manageable product to help with the operations and these concerns. From the challenges themselves, we kind of broke this down into different areas. And again, from a field service standpoint, getting the jobs in and feeding the crews the information that is needed is all tied into how your work orders come in, right? So that integration piece is very important and very vital on how you get the work done. So that's one area of a challenge that we want to identify and show what we did there. But again, this is tied to the integrations and bringing in that work that's coming into the systems. Serialization, block control, those types of regulation items and stuff that we want to keep track of is also another big piece and was a big piece of this project. So understanding what needed to be serialized, how we track that throughout the system, and make sure we have all that in place to be able to move that material and keep track of what's going on there. Some complex storage, again, a lot of open yards, places that are outside that don't necessarily have internet connection, and big items like poles and things like that as well. Make it a little complex for how we store these things and how we move and grab the material as needed for the responses. Emergency response, we talked about that. So we have storm kits that EPB is using. They actually pack and get those ready ahead of time. So we wanted to kind of track that material better, of how we're putting those kits together, how they're being used throughout the day. Because again, storms come in 24 hours, so you never know when those hit. So we want to make sure off hours and things like that inventory is still tracked and it's not just disappearing and coming back appropriately as needed. And then again, tied to the integration work, as I mentioned, the work orders, and then just the consumption of tracking the audibility of all the material and everything that's moving through the system. So Gartner has a relationship with Oracle, and they take a kind of a level approach of how we divide up and what we consider a warehouse and when we would use an inventory system versus a warehouse system. And so this is dictating that here on the slide, and it segments, as you can see, from a level 1 to level 5 based on complexity. So if you look at like a level 1, this is really talking about kind of a stockroom, small storeroom, some shelving potentially that may hold some small parts, potentially meters, things like that, right? Not necessarily needed for a warehouse management system. Warehouse management system can certainly do it, but probably better off in going with a standard kind of inventory management system for that type of level. Once you get into level 2, this is more of a basic location, maybe a small depot, maybe a small yard. a utility truck, something like that. This is also, again, something that can be handled with WMS, but there's some new advanced inventory management capabilities that Oracle has that can probably handle a level 2. As you get into level 3, this is going to be more of an advanced location, transformer station, power substation, larger warehouse for tracking. Maybe it's multi-floor, maybe multiple sites that you're keeping all this. As I mentioned, serialization, all those things that are starting to grow in inventory and what you have to track starts becoming this advanced location, right, at this level 3. And then you're going into level 4. Now you're adding additional intelligence, more mobile device work, larger work order streaming, smart meters, more integration, more intelligence, right? Things like that tie into this level 4 for this. So again, warehouse management handles this, and the scope and the work would be determined up front on what level that you would fall into. But the point is 3 and 4 would be handled by WMS and couldn't necessarily be handled just by a straight inventory system. And then lastly, just growing off that, you're combining, the 3, 4 into a 5 level where you're going to be more fully automated, a lot more integration, IoT, potentially networking, robotic arms, a lot of cool stuff, but again, a higher level of complexity. And again, just to show you the scale that WMS will handle, it can handle up to this level 5 as well. So again, the point of the slide is just to kind of show you, when do you consider a warehouse management system? What level do you fall into? We can certainly help with that as well, but this just gives you an idea of, okay, we fall into this level. What would I look at from an Oracle products perspective? Warehouse management, advanced inventory, or inventory management. So this hopefully gives you an idea how that works. From the solutions themselves here, this kind of gives you what we put together for EPB. This is all the challenges I kind of mentioned and what EPB, and Ken's going to talk about that as we get further along, but what we address from a requirement standpoint and what the vision is for EPB and using the system, right? From a real-time visibility, again, that's a big one to understand. Again, it doesn't just position WMS, not just as the inventory control, but it also connects to the ecosystem, right? For assets, asset management, compliance, and field logistics. It's touching all those pieces, and you're bringing all that information in to give that visibility of what's going on as everything gets processed through the system. So it's very important from that perspective. Traceability and compliance. Again, this ties directly into utility requirements where, as I mentioned, serialized assets, right? Meters, transformers, compliance heavy equipment, regulatory audits, those types of things we want to be able to trace and go back, and if we're audited, right, we have a compliance traceability, right, for all that from a compliance perspective. Flexibility, storage, management. This emphasizes the physical storage, right? The complexity of, as I mentioned, the yards, what storage areas do I have? Are they large facilities? All these capabilities that WMS can handle and satisfy. How do we divide up that storage management, right? Keeping material in a certain area based on what the material is, those types of things. The rapid response. So again, this is a big one for the emergency readiness. Huge priority for a lot of utilities because a lot of these are storm-based, as I mentioned. You got to be ready and to go for these response times, right? Tracking that inventory, as I said, understanding what I need for a crew that comes out and says, okay, this is a typical job that will happen if we have a lightning or thunderstorm. Having that kit ready to go, and again, tracking that inventory that builds that kit and what's coming back. How much did I use out of that kit? Bringing that back into the system, right? Receiving it back in, saying, okay, out of the kit, we still have this. So then we bring that back in inventory and rebuild the kit ready for the next emergency response. So things like that. And then the connected operations, again, this is key. We saw this in the beginning as well as part of the survey, but integration is the key to have the right materials, when dispatched. So when you're integrating into the WMS, we make sure that the work orders are integrated, The planners can avoid, scheduling jobs that can't be completed, parts unavailability. All these things tie into integrating properly to the systems, right, that we're working with to get all this completed. And we can't talk about utilities, Oracle, or anything else without mentioning AI. So I'll certainly give you a quick brief of what type of things are available and the vision of helping out from the utility side. So some of these AI agents that are in place and being worked on is the storm zone mobilization. So this AI agent actually helps monitor using uh, prediction from storm analysis and all of that to impact, what are we going to need from a WMS standpoint when these storms hit? When are they potentially coming? So they allow you to kind of understand and prepare for that. Obviously, it can't predict everything that's going to happen, but it can help you at least understand what might be coming to coordinate the real-time communications and reduce that mobilization from days to hours, right? Just so you're prepared and ready to go from that aspect. We have an order release agent. This queries unprocessed orders along with their scheduled ship dates and priorities. So it recommends which orders should be prioritized above the others, how they should be released to WMS. So you can prioritize that piece using this AI agent from the work order processing perspective. And then the allocation prediction of waiving. So when you're waiving orders, you're looking at particular criteria, right? Whether it's something that's critical that needs to get out, it's a particular customer you're working with, or again, if it's a storm or something like that, we have to waive and predict those types of things on how we're going to um, put together the work order, prioritize everything that's getting picked and prepared, getting these kits ready, as I mentioned, if there's a storm coming. So this agent kind of predicts and helps with that waiving agent and templates to run it operationally in an order that makes sense. And then lastly, the inventory optimization piece. Again, this identifies and analyzes your inventory that's current. It'll look for obsolete, slow-moving items, items that are faster pace, multiple branches, and it goes across the entire inventory. Helps you work with slotting. So if you have areas that are full of one part, but you have open areas that you potentially can move or fill up a bin or location or an area for those parts, this will help kind of show you that and predict those movements, right, and help you automate that through WMS so you can make those movements of inventory and everything and get your inventory in the warehouse and so forth, optimizes for the business. So lastly, what was the value we delivered here? Again, I kind of touched on some of these points, but the main things for this project, and again, Ken will reiterate some of this stuff, but what did we get? We got reliability. Jobs are scheduled. We have guaranteed parts that are available, so we're not waiting on parts and things like that as we get these jobs released. Efficiency, right? It's faster for the field operators. The mobile transactions and all of that handling of the material gives you that efficiency, right? To get things done, get the storm kits built. All that efficiency comes with this product. Compliance, as I said, traceability for safety, inspections, regulatory audits, the serialization control, the lock controls, all of that ties into your compliance space here. The resilience, right? Again, from the rapid storm response recovery, as I mentioned multiple times, this gives you to kit these ahead of time, to bring them back into inventory of what wasn't used. All those things I mentioned fall into this resilience and what we gave EPB to look at a little differently. Before they were just basically issuing out material out of the system, right? So basically they had no accountability of it, even though it was technically sitting in their building. Now we're giving that more visibility to them so they can show where it is at all times as they move that and get ready for these storm responses. And then lastly, integration. Very important. I always say this for all the projects I do, integration's the long pole in the tent. Make sure you have a really good integration partner. You want to make sure that all of the systems are integrating properly. You're mapping, you're you're doing the efficiency from a scheduling standpoint. All of that tied to integration is key in all these projects. You know, not necessarily just with utility, but any project. Just keep in mind that the integration side is very important and plays a key role into this. So we are bringing in, like I said, all the work orders and third-party systems that we're using with EPB via this integration, and we're doing that efficiently. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ken. Again, Ken, thanks very much for being here. Appreciate that, and I'll let you take it away.
Thanks. Well, first, thanks, John. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Candace, for having us and allowing us to tell a little bit about our journey and our experience with both Oracle and Telum as we implement WMS. So welcome, everybody. Good afternoon to some, good morning probably to some, and maybe even good evening to some, depending on where you're tuning in from. As Eric has mentioned, if you have questions, please put those into the chat. We'd love to hear what your questions are and see how we can better answer those, or whatever the case may be. So happy to tell you a little bit about our journey. I have been with EPB about 25 years now. I started out on our fiber optics side, which you'll hear me talk a little bit about that as I talk about EPB, and moved into our procurement space back in September 2020. And from there have been a part of our supply chain implementations and work in that space with our teams and how we're going about working and improving those functions and those operations. So EPB is located in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where we service about 200,000 plus electric meters and about 130,000 plus fiber optics customers with internet, video service, and phone service. Our service area is about 600 square miles, where we service parts of 5 counties in Tennessee and 3 counties in North Georgia. We are an electric distributor. We are not a generator. We actually purchase our power from TVA, who is the generator, Tennessee Valley Authority. That's who we actually purchase our power from. We have a 100% fiber optics network, which we initially started with for our smart grid technology to add some automation on our electric system. In doing so, we have realized a lot of value to be able to provide that internet service to our customers. So we originally started back in 2009, 2008 with some of our first customers. Some of our first customers had internet bandwidth up to, we started out with 15 meg. In 2010, we started offering 1 gig. In 2015, we started offering 10 gig. And in 2022, we started offering 25 gig. So all of our customers, whether it's residential or business, if you need high-speed bandwidth for your business or for your home or whatever the case may be, we offer those services as well. We also have broadband technical support that we provide for customers throughout our throughout the United States as well, not just here locally, but we do some contract services for other utilities as well. Our annual revenue is just over $800 million. A little bit over 600 million of that is electric, and about 185 million of that is on our fiber optic services. So from our electric smart grid automation, we have about 90 substations with 12 kV distribution. We have 15 source stations where we take the 161 kV from TVA, convert it to a 46 kV sub transmission, as well as those other 15 also have some 12 kV distribution as well. We put about 1,200 interrupters on our system, about 220 or so 46 kV automated switches. All these things help us to minimize our outage per customer. And so we have an outage per customer per year time of about 71.5 minutes over the last year's average. And our average number of interruptions per customer per year is at 0.71 over the last year. And then our average interruption duration time per incident is about 99.5 minutes. So all of that has been done improvement based on our smart grid and that fiber optic services that we put in. Some other things that a little bit more about EPB as a whole. We currently have a little bit over 46 megawatts of battery storage in service today. We have about 47 megawatts of battery storage in progress right now. And our ultimate goal is to have about 150 megawatts of battery storage by the end of our fiscal year 2027, which is June 30th, 2027. We also launched the nation's first commercially available quantum network in 2022. And after the first of the year, sometimes probably Q1 of 2026, we will actually have a functioning quantum computer on our quantum network and be offering additional services from there. So that's a little bit about EPB. Next, I want to kind of tell you a little bit about our warehouses and what we have from that space. And we'll also talk about a little bit later, why WMS was so important as we talk about the different facilities that we have. So we have our main operations center, OC Main. You can see it in the top left corner. That's what we call our OC Main. That is a four-story building. We have a basement, a first, second, and third floor. So our basement, second, and third floor is roughly around 24,000 square feet. Sorry, my light went up. Around 24,000 square feet per floor. Our first floor has roughly about 10,000 square feet of storage, and then we have about 10,000 square feet of outside storage at this location. We have our Oak and Greenwood location, which is down at the bottom right. You see it at the bottom right. That particular location is that what you see right there is part of our solar farm, which used to be storage space, and that space got taken away because we put in that community solar farm there that you see. But even at that location, we have other spaces. We have about 190,000 square feet of laydown yards and about 32,000 square feet of inside storage. And over here in the bottom left is what we call our OC North location. We have approximately 4,000 square feet of inside storage, and we have a little bit over 32,000 square feet. I'm sorry, a little bit over 62,000 square feet of outside storage at that particular location. One location that you don't see on here because it's really a substation location, and that substation location has about 68,000 square feet of laydown yard, and we primarily use that for our three-phase pad mount transformers and steel poles. Another location that you don't specifically see on here is our downtown facility, which is where our corporate headquarters are. The only thing that we really store at that location is our billing envelopes for both our electric and fiber billing, and that's about a 10,000 square feet storage area. Now, what you see up in the top right-hand corner is what we call our OC East location. That's a new facility that we literally just had people start operating out of that location maybe about three or 4 weeks ago. It's a 17-acre facility. We have about 31,000 square feet of inside storage, about 60,000 square feet of covered storage, and about 100,000 square feet of laydown yard at that particular facility. Once we go live, we'll really have material out there full time, and I'll talk a little bit more about why WMS is so important for this particular location. And there's another location with one of our fiber contractors. This is another big reason why WMS is so important for us to go live with, is we have a contractor that does a lot of work for us where we've already issued material out and they have it stored at their facility, so we don't have great visibility on that. You heard Sean talk about the lack of visibility on some of our storm kit stuff and some of the things that being helped there. This is another one of those areas where we really believe that WMS is going to help us be able to track and maintain the inventory that we have at our fiber contractors location. So I'll talk a little bit more about that piece when we get into the solution here in just a little bit. And so as we move on to the next piece and really start talking about what are those business drivers that really caused us to look into moving into WMS, I'll tell you a little bit of a story here. So we used to have everything as a paper process. So you have your little notepad, and then the crew would come in and they would have a materials personnel walking with them, and they would write down, I need 5 of these, 6 of these, 8 of these, or whatever the case may be. And so back in around 2012, we had a person that was really good at writing code, and we also had one of our warehouse personnel that really knew our processes very well. With a combination of them two putting their heads together, the warehouse personnel knowing the process, the IT person understanding how to write the code, they actually built a system in-house for us. And so we moved away from the paper process. And when they built that system, it was designed to work with our, at that time, system in Questa. And so we were using what we call MMS, or materials management system, is what was built in-house to maintain issue material, do all of the transactions. Well, in 2018, we went live with Oracle Fusion with the supply chain management module, as well as with our finances in 2018. And so there was some work that was done to change our current MMS system to work with Oracle. And the way we did updates between, because Oracle is our system of record, and it's the primary system of record, the way we did updates from that perspective was we put in an ETL process, which we basically extract the information out of our MMS. We transformed it into a way and then loaded it up into the Oracle Fusion side. And that was not real-time integrations. That process ran 3 times a day. And so it was really just a snapshot of where we really were in Oracle at a time, just as long as it was as good as the latest update. Well, that'll come into play big time as we kind of move forward. So in September 2020, I moved from our fiber optic side of the world into our procurement space. And as I was working with our team on processes and the things that we were doing and how we were doing and looking at improving our inventory accuracy, we noticed we start having several issues between our current MMS system and the updates to Oracle Fusion. And so as we were identifying those particular issues, we start to realize that there was lots of transactions that was getting hung up in this ETL or not coming over. There were some that would come over, some that wouldn't come over, some that would come over with inaccurate data, et cetera, which was causing inventory shortages, inventory overages, and things like that. And when we started looking at the estimated dollar amount around that, we estimated around $80,000 or so of errors per month. And so if you do the math over a year, you're just south of about $1 million a year. And so when we realized that, we have a pretty big issue here with our systems and the communication and inventory accuracy and the availability of inventory and bringing those transactions over properly, we knew we needed to go to an enterprise level system. And so that's when we start looking into the market to find out what was available, what was out there. We knew we already had Oracle Fusion with the supply chain management piece of it. So we were trying to look for something that really worked well with Oracle. We talked to several different vendors. We did several different demos, just kind of looking and trying to understand what was out in the market. And from there, we developed some specifications, and then we issued out an RFP. And based on those RFP responses, we evaluated those responses. We evaluated what we thought was the best solution for those responses, as well as who would be that best partner for us to do this implementation. And as we went through that whole evaluation period, we was really looking to drive operational excellence and improve our efficiencies, make sure it was a really big high priority on inventory accuracy. There was a big high priority on proper integrations and finding a system that we could really start to use that was out of the box and that required very limited amount of customization. We felt like the customization is probably one of those things that gets you into this point where you're always chasing what's happening anytime there's a system update. And so we wanted to make sure that we had a system that could really help us out of the box as much as possible. And as you can imagine, and one of the reasons I'm on this call is because we ended up landing with WMS, and we also ended up selecting Intellinum as our implementation partner. And so that work has continued to move forward because everything that we do, we want to make sure that our customers, which is our crews in-house, they have all the materials that they need when they need it because they're responsible for taking care of our external customers. And as EPB, one of our biggest thing is really making sure that we help improve the quality of life for the people that we serve. And so that's the thing that resonates throughout our entire organization. And so that took a big part into us making that decision. And so we also wanted to make sure we reduced our risk of inventory outages, inventory overstocks, being ready for storms, all those kinds of things that we were looking for. And another really big piece to all of this was we knew we had future expansions, just like you heard me talk a little bit about the OC East facility, and that location is coming online as well. So we knew we had future expansions there. We knew we needed to do something a little bit different with our fiber contractors. because that fiber contractor has lots of our material that we don't really have true management of right now today. And we also know that there's other opportunities as well to expand in other facilities as well that we have. So that's really the driver of the business drivers for why we started to look and how we ended up here with Intellinum. And so as we start to move forward, we'll talk a little bit about the solution that we have in place and where we're headed with that particular part of it. Um, yeah. So when we put this slide together and I started looking at this particular slide, I had an analogy that went through my head, and that analogy was we were actually functioning with a half a brain. And here's what I mean by that. If you look at the solution that you have overall, we had the supply chain management, inventory management, we had supply chain management finances, and we had supply chain management procurement. And that's how we were functioning. And so when I realized the other pieces of the puzzle that we added to the solution, which is the WMS, Warehouse Management Cloud, as well as the Object Storage Database and the OIC integration, then I started to see a complete picture of the work that we've done. And now we have a full brain that we can operate and function off of. And it will bring us a lot of those things that we talked about, is what we were looking for. And so when we start to look at how our business models and our business processes are improved, we can start really talking about some real-time integrations. So now with WMS and the integration cloud, Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, now we have real-time looks at what our inventory levels are. We can take advantage of a lot of the tools that are inside of WMS when it comes to replenishing our stock levels. We can also take clear advantage of some more strategic procurement practices. And so it's not so much maybe even guessing or wondering, just depending on when you're looking at the system, but we know that inventory levels are accurate in real time at that particular time. So we can be more strategic around our procurement processes and making sure that we're ordering the right amount of inventory and we're not ordering too much or too less inventory, which at the ultimate piece of it really helps us with our forecasting. So we can look at real-time transactions and understand where those transactions are and what's happening and ensuring that, we are forecasting our inventory levels appropriately. We have improved functionality such as serial tracking, such as expiring date items. We also have real time of our real deposit date tracking, because we have some reels of wire where they come in and we have to return that back to the manufacturer within a certain time period. So we can actually put the date in the system and have notifications that are reports that are ran that give us information on when that reel needs to go back, instead of tracking all of that stuff in some spreadsheet. And so again, this really allows us to do some of the scalability for our OCEs, our fiber contractor location, as well as down the road, we have another facility, what we call our distribution complex, where we have inventory sitting over there, to where we'll also pull that into WMS down the road as well. So that scalability down the road. And so when we start talking about the results, we kind of talked about, I'll recap some of our problems a little bit for you. We had a legacy in-house system that was built by somebody, and that person actually left the company. And so when that person left the company, the institutional knowledge about that system, the really in-depth knowledge of how everything worked together left the company. And so even though we have a very talented IT staff and those individuals are very good, they basically have to go in and reverse engineer, or they have to go in and really dig in and first learn how it's coded before they can start working on whatever issues or problems that we were having. So that was part of a big problem. The lack of real-time integrations was part of a big problem. The transaction errors was another big problem. And this was a less than desirable scalable system as well. And so, as I kind of mentioned, our goals was really to find that complete brain, as you heard me mention. And we needed an enterprise level system that we could have the proper support and updates that we needed. We needed something that was very scalable. So as we grow as an organization, whether that's additional facilities, additional locations, more inventory, improved processes, whatever those things might need to be. We needed a system that could do that. We need improved material flow, and we need to capture some additional attributes that we were not capturing early on with our current system. So those were some of our goals, and really kind of to reduce a lot of that manual data entry, which, if you look at the minting that we did a little bit earlier, the poll, you can see a lot of you all had some of those very similar thoughts about, reducing some of this manual data entry. Again, we wanted to make sure that we can improve the inventory accuracy. We needed to streamline a lot of our end-to-end supply chain processes, and we wanted to improve a lot of those automations. And so when we looked at that and we started getting to the solution was obvious that we really needed to work with Oracle and implement the WMS cloud and the Oracle integration as well. And because that really allowed us to cement what we currently had and add on what they brought to the table to really be able to achieve all of those goals that we talked about, right? And so now we have real-time procurement updates, we have real-time better inventory costing, we have automation in our replenishment pieces now that's helping us to reduce stockouts and also being more prepared for emergencies and not have to do these quick one-off emergency purchases. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier as well, we're actually doing serialized inventory tracking. And so with our transformers and our LED lights that have serial numbers attached to them, we can actually track them in our system and know exactly which transformer, which serial number, or which LED light that goes with which serial number that's in our inventory. And there's other additional attributes that we're also starting to track as well that we couldn't track at first. Really like the attribute of the expiration date. And so when you have things, some very simple things that you may not realize or think about when you even talk about aspirin or wall spray, or some of the simple things like your masking tapes or some of your heat shrink tubing. So any of those type things that you have in your inventory that has an expiration date, you can now add that expiration date into the system and track that and make sure that you don't have expired inventory in your inventory and issuing it out to your customers. There's better communication with our customers through this system. We have all these improved operational processes. When you start talking about system directed put away, our cycle counting process becomes a lot more robust. Our receiving process becomes a lot more robust. Even the LPN inventory movement, where we would have, instead of today, what we have to do is do a lot of individual movement. Now with the new system, if we have a pallet of X quantities, we can do bulk movement through the LP inventory tracking and movement. So our customers, which are our crews, they can now order from a specific warehouse that they're working out of. So most of our crews are technically stationed at a specific warehouse. Let's say, for instance, if a crew is stationed at our OC main location, and for some reason next week they have to work out of our OC North location, they can actually select the OC North location and say, I need inventory from this location because that's where I'm working from. And so it just gives them a lot more flexibility. As part of this as well, from an accounting piece on the back end, we put in some account string validation pieces as our solution. So when our orders are placed, we're validating that the account string is correct to where we charge that inventory out to before the order is actually submitted. And so it minimizes any errors on the accounting side and the back end pieces as well. And then even going from a homegrown system to a more enterprise level system, there's those security vulnerabilities that risk are reduced. So your concerns about security risk and security breaches are now reduced. And so even the other big piece that was really important for us is our user controls. So we can define roles for different users and give them access to the pieces of WMS that they need to have access to. And this is really important, especially when you start going into auditing purposes. And so making sure people have the right access to the right tools that they need, but not necessarily have access to tools that they don't need. So if there's some level of separation of duties, then all of these things are really kind of helping us to be more efficient and more operational excellence. So that's a little bit about our journey. We're looking forward to the actual go live date here in October with Intellinum. We've all been working very hard to get to that point. Our internal teams, Intellinum as our implementer and partner in this, and Oracle as well as our partner in this. That's a little bit about our journey. I really, again, John, Sean, Candace, team, thank y'all for allowing us to share our journey with you all today.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Ken, what a great story. And thank you so much for sharing it with us here today. We really appreciate your partnership and look forward to celebrating your success here shortly. One key takeaway I think we heard from Ken here today is that, WMS really kind of plays a key role in that entire supply chain picture. And no matter where you are currently at in your journey, you can add WMS into that mix to help round out your entire inventory footprint. Whether you're maybe not on Fusion yet, maybe you're on a different ERP, maybe you need something standalone, WMS can play a key role in that. Whether, in their case, they were already live on Fusion, they needed to round out the entire picture with WMS. So I think it kind of plays a key role for many customers, no matter where you're at in your journey. If you liked what you heard today and you're attending AI World here in a couple weeks in Las Vegas, we'd love for you to join our session. If you just scan the QR code here, it'll take you to the link to sign up out at AI World. And again, that is on Tuesday from 5 to 7 at the Venetian. And get a great chance to meet Ken and the rest of the team. And we'd love to speak with you there. So Ken, Candace, Sean, thank you so much for your time here today. We really appreciate it. With that, we've got a couple minutes left. But if there's any questions in the chat, happy to address those. I think, Sean, you were able to respond to some of them real time. Is there anything else that we need to address? And feel free, if you're still on there and you want to ask a question, please put it in the chat. We're happy to address it real time here. Okay, so give it another minute. I think we answered everything. Okay, excellent. Well, again, Ken, Candace, Sean, thank you very much. Everybody who joined us here today, we really appreciate your time. And we hope to see you out at AI World here in a couple weeks. All right.
Thank you,
Thank
team.
you.